we get experimental. SciAnts. We're curious, non-judgmental.
This is the home of Jack Redlow. Jack Redlow is the founder of Gulf Specimen Marine Lab. He started back in the late 50s doing collections and preserving them and selling to colleges and universities those pickled specimens that we all know and love in a jar. But he was very good at it. And he also had aspirations to be a writer. And so he wrote a fan letter to John Steinbeck when the Sea of Cortez came out. And Steinbeck really took an interest in him and became a lifelong mentor, and they corresponded up until his death. And he encouraged Jack to both collect biological specimens and to write. And Jack has several books that were on the New York Times bestseller list about collecting in this area. And he's also done some novels, and his wife Anne did a number of real science-based books, and she also was a Buddhist teacher and has done a couple of books on Zen Buddhism.
Interesting.
So it has a real neat kind of crossover and vibe. And in the 60s, he decided they would switch over to live specimens. They were one of the first places in the country to provide live specimens, and they use their same clientele list.
Yeah.
So basically colleges, universities, researchers, other aquariums, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And because people were interested in what he was catching, especially now that he was trying to keep it all alive, they started coming around, and in '63 they opened the public aquarium. So we have kind of a two-pronged business. One is still biological specimen collecting. We collect at least 3, oftentimes 4 times a week.
Wow.
And we use all kinds of methods, from picking stuff up at low tide to shrimp trawls and dredges and that kind of thing. And we also use, for specimens, the dock that we're going to. One of Jack's books is called The Living Dock at Panacea, and it although it doesn't talk just about this, it talks about being able to utilize the organisms that are a regular part of a fouling community there. So that is where we'll go do our little investigation, where we take kids, and we'll also take a look at the salt marsh.
If you walk on the docks, there's a part where it floats. So it's not like particularly stable, but it's not unstable.
Got it.
I mean, just
yes.
Be careful.
Floating deck, I got it. You guys, it's like I'm home. I grew up on a lake, so we had all sorts of different docks. We had turtles that used to live under our floating dock.
What type of turtles? Snapping turtles?
We had one big snapping turtle that I was sure, like as a 5-year-old, I was sure was as big as a car. In reality, it was probably more of like a basketball size. But I was certain it could take a leg off.
Have you ever seen the big alligator snappers?
We've only seen them in museums.
I gotta tell you,
like skeletal specimens the other day. They're huge.
They are enormous, and they're so thick. I mean, they're like deep-bodied, which always kind of surprised me. But we sometimes get those even around the salt marsh.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it's not usual. Okay, we're going to stop right in here. Okay, and off on the left here, you see a pretty nice section of really typical Florida salt marsh. And it's, do you know the difference between a marsh and a swamp? Because we have lots of swamps around here too.
Go ahead and tell us. Yeah.
A marsh is dominated by grasses and grass-like plants. A swamp is dominated by trees. So like mangrove swamps, cypress swamps. But marshes have a preponderance of grass and grass-like plants. All of this dark grass is called black rush.
Mm-hmm.
But the important part about the marsh to me is that this is the food source for much of the Gulf. It's okay. And it's not the typical food source because there's not a lot that munches right on the grass.
Mm-hmm.
There's some little periwinkles, a couple of other things, but most things feed on the grass as it begins to decompose. It's called detritus. It's like, not hummus, humus in a land-based environment. And virtually all of our seafood are detritus feeders. Shrimp, blue crab, mullet, not the grouper so much, but most of our seafood big businesses here in Florida rely on this detritus food chain, so that as those plants break down, it washes out with every outgoing tide, and oysters feed on it extensively. And then when the tide comes back in, this makes a really good hiding spot for tiny animals, and in particular young organisms. All of the seafood in Florida is said to be marsh dependent, meaning that they have to spend at least a part of their early life usually in the marsh. So post-larvae, larval organisms hiding in amongst the grasses is the norm, essentially.
So what about, do you guys have smooth cordgrass here? Because I know for the estuaries, that's an essential founder species.
We have several cordgrasses.
Okay.
We have 3 of them. And I believe, now see, you're catching me up here with the, we get one real tall one that gets real spiky head to it called alterniflora, Spartina alterniflora. And this, I believe, the shorter green grass is smooth cordgrass. Okay. And then there's an even finer one, has a very fine blade called Spartina patens. That is, they used to release cattle to graze where they had areas of patens, because it's a really good nutritious forage for them. But yeah, the cordgrasses. Many of the things in these marshes have counterparts all over the world. Like Spartina is found everywhere you find a salt marsh. May not be the same one, but it's going to be pretty close. Most all of them have some little periwinkle that is found. If you go to our local beaches, you get a little wedge clam and you get a little auger. The wedge clam is fed on by the auger, and so it doesn't make any difference where you are in the world. You'll find kind of those components of where they evolved and separated.
And then how, okay, superficially, part of this looks dry to me. So how much of the time is a salt marsh actually saturated with water? Like, can they tolerate drying out, or what percent can they?
That's a really good question. But on a high tide, especially like if you were to come on a spring tide where we get the highest highs and the lowest lows, then you would find water right up into here. Okay. And when it went out, you would find you wouldn't get water till a good 7-8 feet out of there. Now we have we don't have a big tidal range. Our tidal range is like 1.5 feet, 2 feet, sometimes 2.5 feet. That's like max. So that is real different than the East Coast. So like if you were to go to Georgia, they have an 8-foot tidal range. They have miles of salt marsh in behind the waterfront. And that's because the water level is just much more extreme. I'm hoping you're not getting bitten by yellow flies. Those are the menace of the salt marsh here in early June. But
wearing pants, so it's good.
Okay, yeah. We're going to head on down to the dock.
Oh, folks wondering, what is the auger?
Oh, it's a little predatory snail that is long and skinny. Just it doesn't have like a real auger little blades that go around, but it has otherwise that same shape, and it feeds on the little butterfly clams or coquina clams that are found in the Florida beaches.
So maybe you can clear something up for me then, because you had mentioned the periwinkles. I was reading that it's actually debatable if the periwinkles just hang out on the cordgrass and get refuge, or if they actually sort of nom on it, if they get little snacks. So you've been around here a lot more. What is your experience? I'm
pretty sure they're feeding on not necessarily the cordgrass, although I do think they scrape into the epidermal layer of the cordgrass, but they're largely after the algae and bacterial scum and stuff that's forming on the thing.
All right there.
Can you reach any of them, SK? I was hoping we could.
I think I could. There's a couple right here.
And we'll play with them, because when we go to Bottoms Road for the marsh part and for the seining, we'll see a different periwinkle that likes a rocky surface.
Oh my goodness, you guys, look at what we have here.
I say you can put these in your hand and they will come out and crawl all around and leave a lovely little slime trail, just like you expect snails to do.
So how can you tell these apart from the other snails that are cruising around? Is it just their unique shell or their behavior, just where they're found?
Where they're found is always very important. For these, I look to the shape, which is pretty distinctive. Although, like if you were to go to down in the Keys and stuff, they have a longer periwinkle that's found in mangrove areas and stuff. But the shape is somewhat distinctive. They have a really good operculum that closes off the opening so that when the tide goes out, they don't dry out. But they're usually pretty good about coming.
And that's the part on the underside of them, is that right? The operculum.
The operculum is like a little door that closes off that opening. And it's
I always think of it as a little foot, even though it's not actually a foot.
It's actually on the foot. And so as the foot pulls in, it pulls that little door.
It's the little doorstop thing,
Yeah.
Okay, so if people were out and about and wanted to look at these, is it okay to take them off their grass and then when you're done, you just put them back?
Yeah, I just usually pitch them back down into the mud and they'll find their way back up.
And do you need to keep them? I mean, I know we're just holding them for a short time, but do you need your hand to be wet if you wanted to look at them for more than a minute or two?
Not for these, because these are used to being exposed for several hours at a time.
Because of the tide coming in.
Because of the tidal change. Yeah, in fact, one of the reasons our aquarium does nicely is because we use estuarine species primarily. And so things are more tolerant of changes in salinity, changes in temperature, changes in pH.
Yeah.
And every once in a while we have an organism that maybe would normally be further offshore, has a little bit tougher time.
Do you see the difference between that slimy part and this darker brown part? So the slimy part is their foot, like their body, and then the harder, darker part is the operculum. Awesome. Sometimes it's more distinct, but on these guys, like it's not too hard and thick operculum, but on the bigger snails, like you can tell.
Do you want me to get a zoom in, or do you got a zoom in of your little guy? We are not zooming it here. You want me to try to do it?
Look at your little tentacles coming out.
Yeah, come on, flip over.
Well, we got it a little bit, you guys.
I don't know if he may flip over for you.
You might flip over.
Oh, you have a couple of them going on. I love it. Love this.
I'm seeing if he'll flip over himself because he wasn't coming out when I had him. in normal ways.
So can you remind me of the life cycle of these guys right now? They're little adults doing their little adult thing. But
Yes. And like many gastropods, they come in both males and females. And they mate, and the female lays eggs. In this organism, the eggs are laid directly on the bottom of the grass blades. And then I don't know for sure, many snails may go through a couple of larval stages in the egg case. Many snails have cases that have several eggs in them. And then they have an enzyme when they're ready to get out of the case that opens it up. Usually there's a little opening somewhere, and then they'll crawl out of the case once the enzyme has opened up that little hole. So,
do the eggs run the risk of ever drying out when the tide goes? If it gets particularly low, is that a problem, or do they have little?
It's not a problem that I know of.
Okay, they're robust little guys.
They are robust little guys. Otherwise,
do they ever do asexual reproduction?
Not that I know of. Although many invertebrates have both an option for asexual and sexual reproduction. But as far as this little guy is concerned, I don't know of an asexual option.
Awesome. All right, do we want to put these guys
I'm
back?
just going to toss mine
We just
back
toss
in there.
them?
Yep,
Toss them in the water?
Toss them back in there.
And then, here, let me show people the grass. Hey guys, I'm taking over for a minute.
It's really cool actually to see
I'm
all
driving.
the shells on all the grass.
Yeah, I just wanted to show you guys.
If you take like a second to look, you'll see a ton of them.
I thought you were a wizard when you laid down there. I was like, where is she getting this from?
I mean,
Yeah,
guys, I'm
they're-
pretty sure
they
she
like
is a wizard.
Polka
so
dot the entire marsh.
They're just all along the
There's
marsh, you
something
guys.
right there. I think it's a crab trying to eat the thing. It's a little hard to see. Hold on. Let's see if I can point. Do you see the blue crab right there? It's on the blade. It looks like it's eating stuff.
Yep.
There he is. Yeah, now he's under that big fat one. He's moved his right. Oh, he's crawling up the blade. Oh,
Yeah.
there he is. Now he's exposed. Look at him crawling up. He's climbing.
Nail art,
You see
welcome the
that?
heck in.
Do you see the crab on the blade of
Oh
grass?
my gosh, I do, you guys. We're gonna go. I'm gonna try to not make anybody motion sick. This is amazing. You guys aren't gonna believe this.
Oh.
Scavenging. Crabs are very big scavengers. They'll pretty much eat anything.
Let's see, did I miss him?
No, he's still like right there. It's just he's kind of dark colored. Oh no. Okay, now he went down.
He went down, guys. I missed him.
We have crab traps all along the dock though.
Yeah,
So
we
we'll pull 'em
we
up.
will pull up
Yeah.
one of the crab
There
traps.
was one of the
because-
cutest crabs actually climbing this like it was gym class, trying to
Yeah.
ring the bell. It was
It looked
amazing.
like that. I was like, oh, he's going.
Yeah,
All right.
Panacea has always been a little fishing village, and it started with oysters way back in the 1890s. And they also fish for crab. That was oysters were harvested during the cooler months. Crabs are harvested during the warmer months. So that combination worked out really well. In the fall, they would fish for mullet, and they also fish offshore for grouper. Grouper are fairly abundant here compared to much of the northern Gulf, because we have a lot of little rocky outcrops that if you were off the coast of Mississippi, Louisiana, Alabama, it's just pretty much soft bottom everywhere. But here we have a few. Do you know if any of these have been baited lately, SK?
And we have a question about the periwinkles
No, we
from
don't want
chat.
Yeah, I didn't know if they wanted to look at it. The traps are cool.
Yeah, let's go to the end here.
Somebody was wondering if the eggs of the periwinkles hatch during high tide, do they run the risk of drowning, or can they get enough oxygen from the water?
Oh, I'm sure they can get enough oxygen from the water. And they've got that foot gives them a pretty firm grip. But I don't have any data to support that. That's all just Wild speculation on
That's
my
an
part.
educated guess is what we call that,
Exactly
chat.
right. Okay.
We're scientists. We don't wildly speculate. We make educated guesses.
Let me just put that net right down through the boards. Oh, there's nothing in there.
Does it cover this walkway ever?
It has. Not usually. I don't see anything in there because we haven't really baited these lately. Although, do you see that fluffy stuff on the corner there?
Yes.
That's a hydroid. That pink hydroid doesn't look very pink in the muddy water, but one of the reasons we come down to the dock like every other day or so is to collect that pink hydroid because we feed it to the seahorses, and the seahorses eat the actual little organisms, and they also eat a little tiny shrimp-like critter called a skeleton shrimp. That's actually an amphipod, but we'll check this other one where I'm guessing we'll also find nothing because
is it okay if I just...
they haven't been baited. We have one here that's filled with boards, and every once in a while I pull it up just to show people.
Oh, we have a crab in there. Holy moly. Can I give you a hand?
Yeah, because it's trying to just be careful of any barnacles. There he is. Oh, and a stone crab right here too. So these are the commercial crabs, both commercial crabs that are fished for in this area. Let me turn this and see if you can get a better look here. That's a stone.
They've got pretty strong
Where's the
pictures.
where's the blue crabs? Are down there.
Yeah, the other one's over there.
I mean, basically traps are a very ancient fishing method, and basically they're little funnels. I don't know if you can see my hand that comes through there. That's a bait box in the center that we normally put.
What do you bait it with typically?
Oftentimes we bait it with threadfin herring because that's what we're feeding a lot of the fish in the aquarium area. Menhaden would be preferred. If you were a crabber here, you would prefer menhaden. Both of them are a pretty oily fish, so you want that oil to carry the scent as far away from the trap as you can.
Oh, this little guy's trying so hard. My friend, I think you're stuck. I'm so sorry.
There's two down there.
Yeah, there's a little bigger.
Okay, let's turn this over where we can open it up and let him go.
Oh, flop. Oh, in the sun you can really see the blue of their shell. Wow. Well, the bigger one at least. You guys, he's hiding.
Okay, where's my door? That's what I'm looking for.
Wasn't the door on? Is it this side? Here?
I don't know. Do you see one?
So how old?
No. These little holes are so that tiny crabs don't get stuck in there on a ghost crab, kind of on a ghost trap, essentially.
Here, guys, I'm going to take you in so we can just zoom in on these cool. I'm going to try to stay out of the way.
Okay. I see a line here.
You guys see their back legs.
But I do not see a door. You have to forgive me. I lost the vision in my right eye earlier this year.
I think this is the door right here. This looks
I hear you, but what's holding it is what I'm saying is this is
okay.
This is not not attached anywhere.
So we have two different crab types here, you guys, and the bigger of the the bigger of the blue crabs really has a lot of blue on him, but he's decided
can you tell the sex from there?
Let me take
a look.
You tell me. You're the pro. You tell me.
Oh, she's actually in the bait box. Okay, I said she, but this is a male. And if you look at the abdominal flap right here, you see it forms like a little T shape. Okay, and that is the male. The females are going to have either a triangular abdomen when they're immature, or when they're mature, it's going to be like a half circle. Okay, and that half circle doesn't come till their last molt. It's called the terminal molt, and that's what they glue their eggs to. Okay, whoa. Don't get pinched, SK.
Yeah, he's okay. He's flipped over.
Yeah, right. Oh.
Is there, other than that plate,
Where's
there a physical difference, like either in their
females,
blue color?
The females usually have red tips on their claws. Okay, when they're mature.
They call them painted fingernails.
Painted fingernails.
Okay, here's the other little one.
Yeah.
If you had to guess, could you estimate how old this one is based on its size?
Okay, can I get in here? Yeah, this is definitely a female. You see that triangle as opposed to that real narrow T that we saw before? This is a female, and when she gets to her terminal molt, it'll turn into this semicircle. In fact, the males respond to chemicals released by the female when she's about to go through that molt, and they come to the female and sit over them. It's called cradling. Okay, and they wait and help her with the molt if need be, and turn her so that they're belly to belly, essentially, because he cannot pass the spermatophore unless she's soft shell. Or he could pass it, but she can't put it up inside the seminal receptacle unless she's soft. So, and
then I noticed their back leg set has more of a paddle.
Yeah, these are swimming crabs. Blue crabs are a swimming crab. Now, if you look at the stone crabs, their back leg is not at all
this guy back
the same.
here.
Yeah.
Okay.
And in stone crabs, with blue crabs, you take the whole crab, you sell the whole crab, you boil up the whole crab. In stone crabs, they just take the claw. They take a single claw.
Oh no!
And it has to be like 3 inches. Okay, that's the legal size. And then you throw it back, and hopefully he will regrow that claw in a couple of years, and you'll be able to harvest him again.
Does the claw grow back to the same size?
It takes 2 to 3 molts for it to come back to its, and it'll probably always be the smaller of the 2 claws. But yeah, I'm going to put these back in because they're
welcome in, Maka Waka, by the way.
I want some oxygen.
I'll give this back.
Okay.
So we were looking at ghost crabs last night. And they're
out on the beach.
Yes, on the beach. So I know they're not quite aquatic. They have little gills that they have to keep wet, but otherwise they're more or less terrestrial.
Yeah, they're what's called an amphibious crab. And had we walked out into that marsh at all, you'd see a lot of little fiddler crabs. We'll see them on the tour. And they're also in the same family as the ghost crab. And the gills have quite a bit of spongy tissue, so that it works very much like a lung. And
these guys don't have that. They need to be in the water.
They need to be in the water, and they're going to be. We'll see a couple of crabs in the aquarium tour, and you'll be able to see a current kind of that they create, and that's they have a little appendage called a gill bailer that pulls water over the gills and then exits that water through the mouth. So we'll be able to take a look at those much more closely. Okie doke. See, I was worried. I checked the tide this morning because the one thing my knee does not like to do is go down a really steep incline. So anyway, when we bring students here, we would bring them down here on the floating docks. We usually have 3 or 4 of these little gray bus trays, and we're going to have them look at stringers. We deliberately put rope with things that we have tied into the rope as surface for things to grow on, okay? And we want them to take a look at some of the stuff that they would find on those stringers.
How long do you let a stringer marinate, stew, before it's appropriate? Before it's ready?
We really don't. We try and keep some old ones out and some new ones out. And if you get a nice old one, you'll find more stuff. But within 24 hours, the stuff gets a nice bacterial coating, and things will begin to start looking at that. Barnacles in particular. It doesn't take long for barnacles to really home in on a hard surface at all. So within probably a month, you're going to have a good crop of young barnacles, and then the other stuff begins to come later. Some of the stuff that we normally find here, we're gonna look at the stringers. We're also going to do some dip netting for comb jellies and grass shrimp. Okay, so hopefully we get some of those. I should have brought a Ziploc bag. I knew I was forgetting something. I like to hold the little comb jellies up, but we maybe can do that down at the lab. I know they had some yesterday. And you'll be able to see the little cones that iridesce, and it's just really fun. But anyway, on the stringers, we oftentimes find these little mud crabs. So they're related to stone crabs, but they don't ever get very big. Okay. And they're just looking for little places to hide and someplace where a lot of food is going to be growing nearby, because they feed, like the stone crabs, they scavenge. They'll feed on detritus, they'll feed on algae, all of those things. We also get some little sea squirts down here. Little clear sea squirts are fairly common. Sometimes we get little nudibranchs. We get oysters on the stringers. We get little anemones every once in a while.
Oh my gosh.
So porcelain crabs is yet another type of crab that we get here. Hermit crabs on occasion, tiny little hermit crabs usually. But anyway, I'm going to fill this with water. Okay, I want you to go along that.
Oh, I already got a comb jelly in there.
Oh, okay.
You already have a comb jelly. Holy moly. Okay, so tell me, was that intentional because you just have the skills? I'm going to say that she did this intentionally.
So do you see how small it is right here? And it's got those 8 rows of combs. You can kind of see them, but it would be easier if it was a more clear surface.
Chat, can you guys see that? Do you want me to zoom in?
Now this one, we'll get a bigger one. We get 2 species of these here. And this is Lydia's comb jelly, Nemiopsis, and but we also get Varroa. Varroa feeds on Nemiopsis. So the bigger the Nemiopsis get, and they'll get 2, 3.5, 4 inches long, okay, as the warm weather continues, and they're busy feeding on plankton and detritus and stuff in the water.
Is this a larval stage of something?
Guys, we've hit the jackpot. 1 scoop of water and we already have a bunch of...
It looks like the larval stage of something, but
this is an amphipod, I'm pretty sure, but
yeah, it looks like some sort
I think it's just the molt.
Yeah, it looks like either just the molt or the larval stage, one or the other.
But we do have a lot of amphipods, which the most common amphipod that most people know is called a beach flea.
Yeah,
and like in the rock line,
we were looking at those last night.
And so this is just a molt. It's not the live animal, but
cool.
That's what we got going on there.
Yeah,
okay.
A little closer.
Okay, SK, I want you to pull some stringers right around here.
Can I give a hand with something?
You can.
All right.
Essentially, we just want to pull up these ropes. Oh, these are really short. This is what happens after it's been in there for
So eventually.
But see all of this branch stuff here?
Oh, and you have a
I'm
little crab maybe?
Yeah, that's probably one of the little mud crabs, I'm guessing. Is it dark? Yeah, there it is. This is the Hydroid colony. I'm going to float that in the water, and hopefully it'll open right up. Okay. Sneak through here, and we'll sneak it into the bucket. And this is what we do when we bring kids down here. We put everything in the bucket, and then before we leave, we gather around and take a look at stuff. Now, these are related to jellyfish.
Oh, really?
Yeah, these are, they have tiny little stinging cells that are not going to affect your hand usually. I say usually because I have had people who had a really nasty reaction to the hydroids. We had to air, not here, but in another location where I worked at in the Keys. They had to airlift her into Miami.
Oh my gosh.
She got anaphylactic and everything. So,
all right, guys. Well, we're gonna make sure that doesn't happen to anybody today.
Yeah, we don't want
first.
that to happen. But these little guys are just everywhere. These little mud crabs.
Here's some bigger comb jellies.
Is that as big as they get?
Or? They get a little bit bigger, but I'm looking to see. Look, isn't that egg mass right there? Like I said, I'm now blind in my right eye.
That's
so
amazing.
Yeah, which means this is a fully mature little crab.
Wow. And then we have some huge comb jellies.
You just grab them with your hand.
I know, you
So
guys.
they don't sting.
Oh, okay.
They have blue cells instead of stinging cells. So if you actually want to pick it up, you can. Just be gentle because they're basically like a body of tissue. So you can
And they all bioluminesce.
You'll feel the stickiness on your hands. It's kind of more slimy than sticky, but you will feel what I'm talking about.
Do these bioluminesce?
Yes. So it's easier if you stare at them for a really long time. Maybe you'll see it.
Oh my
But
gosh.
all of their rows of combs,
Yeah, do you
you'll
see
them moving down.
I don't want them to get dry, so let me. But do you see? I don't know. I have a great view from here. That's amazing. That
So they don't
is
sting,
just
so you're free to touch
amazing.
them.
Blint, do you want me to hold so you can touch
They're
them?
called ctenophores, so they're not actually in the same phylum as the other jellyfish, like the manowars. They're there, and they're actually thought to be one of the oldest living ancestors. It's debatable.
So are these all the same species? They're just at different stages?
There's only one species of comb jellies, right, Leslie?
No,
There's two.
we just talked about two species.
Yeah.
Nemiopsis and Beroe. Beroe gets, it's called a sea walnut, I've seen some that are even football sized.
Oh wow, I've never seen that one big.
And it's got a nice big opening at one end. These have like little lobes at the mouth end.
Yes.
But Beroe just has like this huge mouth, and it engulfs the other ones.
Do you want me to zoom in?
And
just. All right, guys, let's see if we can. I can't see a thing. I'm hoping you guys can see. The light is getting me.
have they put stringer? I said, have they put stringers on these new sections?
A little cameo also.
Okay.
Now it's your chance to talk about Manchester United, Blint. American football or football.
Over there. Or no?
Yeah, more mud crabs. Okay.
Find one of the little.
I would like you to take the dip net and dip net along through the little boat enclosure there and along the ends for grass shrimp. Okay. And here, have you, what I want you to do is poke it up underneath the dock a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay, and that way if they're clinging to stuff in there.
Okay, so
They'll get
what
them
is
down.
it she's now using a net, stuff that didn't want to grow on the cords?
Well, we get a lot of grass shrimp that are coming in to feed. Now, they
Okay.
would be up in the grass, and we could collect them from the grass with like a push net, or we use a piece of equipment called a beam plankton trawl sometimes to collect them, but you get a lot of grass.
Okay.
And so if we can collect them here where they've come out and they're kind of hanging out in the stringers, feeding on algae and
Okay.
other stuff in there,
Okay.
then that's a little bit easier. Pardon me. Let me just decline this call.
And so the barnacles, you said they're sort of a foundation species on the nets and
They are. They usually are what attaches first that is big enough for you to see.
Okay.
And they also provide a nice hard surface for anything else that needs a hard surface. And so I wish in some ways that it was a little bit lower tide. You could see that the bottom of all these pilings have lots and lots of barnacles and oysters, lots of oysters on those. Yeah, I want you to, that's the short one though, I think. Yeah, let's try that. One of them has a big brick at the end that's covered in lots of barnacles.
Well, this has a brick. So usually when I think people think of barnacles, they just think about the hard exterior, but that's not really what they're doing, right?
Well,
that's not the animal part.
No, and in fact, barnacles are a crustacean. They have this little, oops, should not have done that, should I?
I just want to give people a closer up. Do you want me to grab it? Which one was it? This one or this one?
I think the other one. I think that one will be a little bit better. Maybe not.
I'm trying to do this one-handed. I can get it. There we go. Oh, there is a big brick on this one. I was wondering why I was having a hard time.
And see, here's where an oyster was attached. But there are lots of little, these are called acorn barnacles, and they make like a little volcanic looking shell, like a little volcano. And there are two doors at the top of that open up so the animal can feed. The animal is actually a crustacean.
It's a crustacean.
It's a crustacean, yeah. So it's related to shrimp. And the person who discovered all of that, of course, was Darwin. And
good old Darwin.
Darwin wrote 6 books on barnacles. He was fascinated with barnacles, and his son asked one of his schoolmates one time, "Where does your dad keep his barnacles?" Because he just assumed that everybody was into barnacles, and there were some on the top of that. But essentially, they glue their head to the bottom. They build that little volcano around them, and then they spend their life kicking food into their mouth, because they have these real feathery little legs that do the plankton.
So what are the shells made out of?
Calcium carbonate.
Calcium carbonate, just like
just like
else.
a seashell.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
All right. Awesome. Let's put these guys back in the water.
Yeah. So they. Any success, SK?
I got one shrimp.
Okay, good.
We got a shrimp, you guys.
Just lots of comb jellies.
Hey, comb jellies are very exciting.
What about this area is appealing to the comb jellies? Is it the pylons going up the docks, or is it just?
They're planktonic, so they're just captors in a body of water. If the body of water comes in, there's where you're going to find them. They just really do not have a whole lot of control over what they're.
I just saw him in here.
Yep, over on your side, I see him.
Where?
Right there.
Oh, there he is. Yep, there he is.
Okay, and this is a pretty typical size for young grass shrimp. They'll get about twice this long. Okay, and this is a shrimp that, unlike the edible shrimp, the pinnate shrimp that we get that just shed the eggs in the water, they retain the eggs on their abdomen, kind of like the crabs do. And so sometimes I can find a nice mama shrimp that's holding all her eggs.
All right, guys, I don't know if you can see it. It's blending in like a champ, but
Here,
it's floating
I'm going to
around
move
in
so
the
I'm not
center.
creating a shadow.
If I can get this thing to focus. So you said they're not edible.
Well,
I mean, like humans don't. Sorry, of course they're edible. Humans don't.
They are
consume
edible,
them.
but you'd need you know, a couple thousand to make a good po' boy.
It'd be a tiny little snack, you guys.
Yeah.
Not worth the effort. You heard it here. Not worth the calories.
I worked for a lot of years in a fisheries lab, and that was what they told me, because I was always interested in all the other little stuff besides the blue crabs and the shrimp and stuff.
And look at all of
Leslie, you can't make a po' boy out of it. So just
you could try, I suppose. Maybe corn relish, you guys. Corn relish could make something for us.
I guess everything's edible once, right?
well,
Yeah.
I hear you. I have to give credit to that first guy who ate an oyster, because I must admit the first time I looked at one, I was like, I don't really want to do this.
We love oysters now.
Me too,
but my mom, when we first had it, she's like, this looks like snot.
Yeah.
And
it feels kind of like snot in your mouth. So,
but like the first time we got it, like, you know, half dozen, like just can we get 2 dozen more, please? It's amazing.
Flint, do you want to scoop down and touch one
a
of
little
these jellies?
hot sauce?
No? Okay.
Me?
All right, so are these all the same species?
These are all the same species. And we probably won't get the burrowie coming in until these are a little bit bigger, because that's their food.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
And see, this is the mouth end.
Oh, sorry,
and it's
guys.
got these
That's not
little
what I wanted to do. I wanted to
lobes over here. The first time I ever saw one of these, I was at a dock at night, and a guy was cast netting. And when he brought in the cast net, it would have little green glowing globs all through the cast net, and that was these.
That's amazing. So they're just kind of stuck here. At what point do they stop surviving? Like, I imagine they're subtropical or tropical. At what, if they get blown too far, what's their temperature?
Oh, you mean like the
range?
Yeah. Yeah, these are subtropical, and I want to say that these are found up to Virginia. I'd like to double check that.
Okay.
But up in New England, they have a tiny little one with tentacles.
Oh.
These comb jellies are divided into tentacled forms and non-tentacled forms. These are non-tentacled.
Okay.
And the other one that we get here is also non-tentacled. But up around New England, they have this tiny one, about ½ an inch or so across, and it's got long tentacles, and the sticky cells are on the tentacles, and he just kind of takes the tentacle and wipes all the plankton off in his mouth.
So those sting with the tentacles, or just this?
They don't sting at all. None of the comb jellies sting. So,
and then can you remind us what all critters nom away on the comb jellies, these guys in particular? I know you said
the other comb jelly is its biggest predator, but I'm guessing that sea turtles probably feed on them. Most of our sea turtles will feed on jellyfish, and so I can imagine that they would feed on these as well. By most of our sea, I'm thinking loggerheads primarily, and that's because loggerheads are our most abundant sea turtle in this area.
We checked out a bunch of their nests, all nicely
They've already
protected.
got them. So because St. George gets so many, more than I go to Alligator Beach, which is a beach here in McCullough County, and we usually, by the end of the season, we'll probably have 7 or 8. But St. George will have 70.
Oh yeah, we just
You know?
yeah.
Yeah, it's and you I've walked the beach over there with Turtle Patrol every once in a while, and every morning there are crawls and stuff. So it's really fun.
So can you then, maybe I can ask you this question. How do they know where to mark a nest? Are people just monitoring the heck out of turtles, or just telltale signs?
Well, it's the crawl. When that turtle comes up out of the water and onto the beach, it leaves a distinctive trail as it moves up, and where it ends and turns around and comes back, that's where the nest is.
Okay.
Now, it depends on what state you're in and what the Turtle Patrol's role is in that area, but in a lot of areas they'll have them dig down to find an egg, so that they know that it's there for sure. Yeah. I think our Turtle Patrol is not doing that any longer. They did for several years, but I think they decided that it was disturbing the nest unnecessarily, etc. So they're no longer doing that, but they mark where that crawl ends and where they can see the pathway back. So yeah, and each turtle has a different crawl. So we do get greens that nest occasionally. We have St. George, I want to say, has a leatherback that comes back every 2 or 3 years.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I need to like I said, I need to check that for sure, but I believe they have a leatherback that those normally nest in the tropics. Yeah. But we do get them here, and they're a huge turtle, 7 feet long. Cool. Deep diving turtle, feeds just on jellyfish, and goes down to 1,800, 1,900 feet.
And they just don't get bothered by the stings, is my memory.
They're pretty, their skin is real leathery, and the beak, of course, doesn't really have much skin on it. And if you look at, you'll have to Google leatherback sea turtle mouth, and the inside is just nothing but spikes.
Oh my gosh,
it looks like
really?
some torture chamber of some sort, but it's perfect for hanging onto a slippery jellyfish.
I'm gonna have to check that out. Oh
yeah,
my gosh.
You need to, because it's really, the first time I really was kind of scared. I went, ooh, I don't know if I ever want to see a real leatherback now. I'm a little worried.
Oh my gosh. Somebody in chat, Google that and post it in Discord. We have to see that. That sounds amazing.
Yeah, that would be great.
And terrifying.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And especially if you're looking at a 7-foot turtle, that's a heck of a mouth. Yeah. You know, it's a big creature.
So we're starting to see the color now. The mud has really washed off of them. Is this more of their natural color, or do they still need to?
There is a little bit of coloration there, but it's not like they have a pigment necessarily.
Well, it's like their buds have this, maybe they're like these little dots of an orange brown. I can zoom in. Hang on. You guys, I have the technology. I have a phone with me. I'm gonna just zoom in and see if I can. Let's see if I can actually do it. Okay.
If you walk along the dock and try to see them glistening in the sun, it's better to see their bioluminescent part than in the bucket.
Yeah, that would be amazing.
The iridescent part.
Yeah, the
not the bioluminescent part, which is all of them.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is not a good picture, but they have these little dots that are sort of orange.
I hear you, and I don't know what.
And we don't know if this is not.
I don't know whether that's. I mean, they do have the sticky cells directly on the surface, so it may be stuff that they're feeding on.
Okay. That
would get moved eventually to the comb row and then into the mouth.
Okay. Where is the mouth?
Okay, the mouth. I don't know if you can see at one end there, it's kind of longer, and there are 2 lobes on either side, and the mouth is in the middle of those 2 lobes.
These are amazing. You guys, I just can't get over this. I never thought I'd get to touch a jelly, and it doesn't bite me. Okay, sting me.
Isn't that wonderful? One time I went sailing with friends, and we sailed it to the beach and anchored and DTT, and I jumped in the water. It was like I jumped in a bowl of jelly.
Oh,
I mean,
my
these
gosh.
were so thick. It was just, I was like,
my gosh.
whoa. So yeah, they're a neat organism. I love them.
They are so cool.
Okay, I'm just gonna dump this
Yes.
if we're ready, and
Yep.
we're
Do you
gonna
want a
head
hand?
on back
You got it?
to
or
the lab. I think I got it.
I feel bad making everybody else do the heavy lifting today.
Okay.
I'm trying to see if I can find a fish. Fish were going fast. I saw some little thin fish when I went out here with the kids the other day.
What are the most common species of fish that you find in the area, like right hanging around your dock?
Well, we have a lift net. It's not working right now, and what I catch in the lift net, which is just a little net that goes to the bottom, and fish are, and so when you pull it up, it's got whatever is usually in the water column. Anchovies are probably the most common.
Anchovies.
We get some pinfish. We get little toadfish.
Toadfish are the they're like the real crazy looking ones that are like ambush predators. Am I thinking of the right one?
I don't normally think of them as, well, they are kind of ambush predators, I guess. They have a lot of camouflagey stuff along the bottom of the mouth. And we get two species here, the oyster toadfish, which is what we normally get if we do the lift net here, and because it's more common on oyster reefs. And they literally eat oysters. They have a very strong jaw. You don't want to stick your fingers in the tank with the oyster toads. And we also get leopard toads, which are found a little offshore, have a little more orange in them, and get bigger than the oyster toads.
That's cool.
This is for homework at some point in time when you're interested. One of Jack's first writing adventures was for Sports Illustrated. He did a series of articles for Sports Illustrated, one of which was on noodling a big toadfish that's found off the coast of
why would you do that? Oh my gosh, noodling freaks me out to begin with, but with toadfish, and you just say they have real...
Yes, they have really strong jaws, so you got to really get the strongest part of your arm.
Oh my gosh,
in there.
Freaking thank you.
Yes, and because I've always known Jack as a senior citizen, that article is just Jack, young 20-year-old virile adventurer. It's just a whole different picture of him, and so I love that little article, and it was real fun when I ran into it.
I will have to check that out. You said that's Sports Illustrated?
Yep, it's a Sports Illustrated, and we may have one in the pickle building at the lab.
I'll run ahead and collect my...
Do you want me to take one of those?
Sure. You want to trade? Or do you feel balanced?
No.
I have an extra hand. I'm happy to... Why don't I take that since I got an extra hand?
I'll just go empty-handed.
Lead the way, our fearless leader. This is how it's supposed to be. We're just the workers here to learn, here to follow instruction.
It is a gorgeous morning, isn't it?
It's so peaceful out here. Oh my gosh. I just want to bring my book and chill with the water.
Sit out your little lounge chair
Yeah.
at the end of the dock.
I like how the current is right now.
So if we were to start looking for species right here, where it's much more shallow, how different would the species be from just this short little
dock?
trip? Yeah.
Well, this has a lot of oysters
right
now. And we also put out some old tires because it will collect little gobies, pistol shrimp, all those kind of things, because keep in mind, this is really a collection site
Yeah,
for us.
right.
And so those are things that are common in this little area.
Okay.
We'd also find probably lots of little hermit crabs, some crown punks, which are a predatory snail. And they prefer the shallow water. You might find them out further, but they really like that oyster reefy kind of habitat.
And then are there any species that follow, oh, somebody just jumped out of the water to get a snack. Are there any species that follow this trend of the juveniles are closer to the water, and then as they get older, they start creeping out into the deeper?
There's lots of that. Snappers, you'll find little snappers, little grunts, even little groupers sometime right along the edge of the marsh. And then as they get older, they are going to move out into seagrass beds and then into like snappers and groupers, like a rocky habitat. And so they're going to be looking for that. So yeah, there are things that do that.
Awesome. And that's just such a short distance. I love that. And then we're back into the full-on proper grass.
Yep.
Our little periwinkle friends over here.
They're so cute.
They are cute. I feel like they're cheerful, and I have no reason to think that. They just, I think maybe it's because they're just in the bright green grass. I feel like they're... The name, thank you. That was the other thing I was going to say. It's like, you can't be a grumpy species if you're called a periwinkle. I'm pretty sure that's just a fact. Okay, here's a ridiculous question for you. If you were to pick a mascot for salt marshes, a science communication cheerleader mascot, what species or creature or something would it be?
Does it have to be a watery creature?
No, it just you're the professional. You tell us, what would you pick?
If I were going to do a logo for areas right around here, I would do salt marsh or even sea oats with a red-winged blackbird.
A red-winged blackbird. Okay. Yep. I didn't
just
know that
we got
they
good
were
color.
Yep, good color. I agree.
And yeah.
Okay, I didn't know
maybe
that
a little hermit crab at the base of the grass.
Heck yeah. Okay. Okay, so we were talking about hermit crabs, I don't know, a day or two ago. At least I was rambling, waxing poetic about hermit crabs and how people over collect their shells in some locations, and so they have trouble finding proper, suitably sized shells as they mature. Is that a problem here, or is that more in strong touristy areas?
Okay, first of all, you almost never find an empty snail shell here on the beach. If you found one, like I found one in the last year, and went, oh, because you just don't find
them.
Yeah, an empty shell. But so usually that hermit crab is getting a hold of the shell long before it would come up on the beach. Now that differs down in the Keys and Caribbean, where you have the land hermit crabs, the little purple clawed hermit crabs, and they have to wait for empty shells to come up on the beach. And that is probably a problem there, because shells are a limiting resource.
Right.
And I've found little purple claws when I used to teach in the Keys. I found one in the base of a light bulb. And I found one in a Dr. Pepper cap.
Oh.
So yeah, they are desperate for anything that they can use to cover that little soft abdomen.
All right, guys, so you heard it here. If you're down in the Caribbean where there are terrestrial hermit crabs, you leave those shells where you found them. Look at them, take a picture, and then find a hermit crab to give it to. You can put a little bow on it if you want, a biodegradable organic bow.
there's actually a video game that was released like 4 weeks ago where it's illustrating the same problem. And so you play as a hermit crab and you have to have different shells to try to get your own shell.
Really?
That was taken.
Oh, interesting.
The currency in game is a microplastic because you're trying to remove microplastics.
Oh. Okay, from the ocean, yeah.
It's called Another Crab's Treasure.
Awesome. You need to do more video gaming.
Obviously, that's the problem. Not enough video gaming.
I ran into this wonderful graphic of the giant red hermit crab last year, and I was like, whoa, who's this artist? And I kept, you know, I really liked it. I printed a big one out, and come to find out it was a game where people make their own little creatures to populate the world that they're in. And yeah, this was somebody's little creation that they had made, and now it was a part of the game.
That's awesome.
So I'm trying to remember the name of the game. I can't remember.
Sorry,
but I thought, because they put it together with, like, you know, things you have in like Word in the shape file.
Yeah.
You know, with half circles and squiggly lines. I would love for you to do that. No, we're taking the old turtle van. Okay. But we're going to do the lab first.
Okay, thank you so
I believe. And then go to the marsh. Okay. So I might have you, why don't you just take that stuff directly to the turtle van and grab a seine and put it in there. Okay. And I'll get them started. I kind of want to know where the other kids are before we actually try and...
Is the turtle van parked over there to the left?
I believe it's parked right over there.
Okay. I'll take this stuff there.
Okay.
We have a beautiful sculpture over here. I love that. Okay.
Isn't that the... I have to tell you, those models are very well used. Children are all over those models.
Oh, I imagine so.
Touch tank than any other aquarium in the country. And we don't let you just touch it with 2 fingers. We encourage you to pick a lot of this stuff up and to really investigate it. We're going to start with this tank at the back, where I'm not going to have you move. Although these have stinging cells, the skin on your hands is usually thick enough so that they don't sting you.
Let me zoom out.
And these can release stinging cells directly into the water. Like if they see a big shadow come over top of them, like a big predator might be there, then they will release some stinging cells in hopes of getting them to move on.
Do they just spore and release?
Yeah, they just, like most jellyfish, release gametes directly into the water, and that's what these guys do. I'm going to look on the other side. Sometimes you can see the gonads on it. Like if you look at moon jellies, the ones that are in Finding Nemo, and they've got that pink 4-leaf clover, that's actually the gonads of those.
And the moon jelly is one of the ones that doesn't actually spore, right? The female intakes the male gametes directly and she broods for a little while.
I don't think so.
That's not the moon jelly?
Yeah, I don't think it's the moon jelly. Now, we have, I can't see any. We have a big jellyfish that we get here in the winter. That does that. Okay. And you can, I've heard this is true. I've not tried it, but I've heard that you can shake it.
Yeah.
And it shakes out the larval form.
Oh my god.
And then the little larval forms round up and become the polyps. So there are some jellies that do that, but I don't think it's this one.
So the bigger jellies that have these
Little brown fronds.
Yes, yeah, brown fronds.
Those little brown fronds are concentrations of the algae.
Okay.
It's a dinoflagellate, just like you find in coral, not the same one, but similar. And yeah, when they've been getting lots of sunlight, they'll have lots of little fronds.
Okay. And the smaller ones that don't have it, is it just they don't have enough algae with them yet? Because it seems, maybe this is coincidence, but it seems like as they get bigger, they tend to have more. Is that just a coincidence?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
Do you want to touch one? No. Okay.
This is our southern stingray exhibit.
Okay.
And we have a lovely big stingray down in the corner named Peaches.
Moly.
And southern stingrays will get to 6.5 feet across. So she could be larger, but she's a pretty good sized specimen.
Is she going to keep growing, or has she reached her terminal size, do you think?
I think she will keep growing.
Okay.
I think that given enough food, I don't think there are some things that are tank limited, the size of the tank. Depends how big they will get. But I think that I think she will continue to grow. They don't grow much once they get this size.
Okay.
And, you know, just a couple of centimeters a year, maybe, if that much.
And then what is their lifespan typically?
I don't know.
Okay. If you had to guess, do you know how old she might be?
I know she's at least 8 years old.
Okay.
Because we've had her ever since I started working here, and I know they had her probably a couple years before that. Okay. So I'm thinking 8 to 10, and I'm guessing right around 25. Okay. Would be the age, but I'm not going to swear to that.
And then on the side of her head, next to her eyes,
those are spiracles, and those pull water down over her gills that are on the bottom. So particularly if she's buried in the sand, which is in the wild, that would be her preference. And that way she gets good aeration over the gills without having to get up and move.
And then who are our little fish friends here?
These are gar. And we have a long-nosed gar and a couple of spotted gar. Gar are very common in here. In Florida, they're freshwater. SK's to get either.
Oh my gosh.
Uh-oh. Yeah, if you slide it down the side and then push it, hold on to her nose. Okay,
so how much does she eat a day?
Well, she gets fed at least once a day. On Mondays and Thursdays, she'll get fed as much as she wants to eat. Okay, and normally she'll get 2 to 3 pieces of fish. Okay. I don't want to feed her anymore because the other tours have also fed her. So.
I guess I just mean, I think it was at SeaWorld, their stingrays, they said ate about her body weight daily. Okay. Is that sort of average? I mean, I imagine it's going to be different species to species, but is that a pretty good average?
I don't know.
Okay. Oh my gosh.
Does she know her name?
Okay, now, as you know, I don't know if she knows her name, but be careful with her hands in more than like a couple of inches because I don't trust those gar.
Oh,
those are ambush predators.
Okay, rude gar.
So
gotcha.
They are a problem. Do I know which one is the most aggressive? No. Do you know?
No, I don't know. This one in particular, though, is always staring me down.
Well, they definitely try and drift right over to you. But Peaches got bitten one year by a snapper, and she got infected, and they had to amputate her tail.
And is that why she's in captivity? Or was she?
Yeah, that was while she was in captivity. That was while she was here. So, yeah, sometimes it's really hard to tell what's going to be a good tank mate.
Yeah.
And we'd had snappers in here previously, not had any problem, but then sometimes there's a problem.
And is this just her looking to see if there's any more food, or
probably? But sometimes she just comes up and because I know when I come in the morning, I think she's trying partly just to get up high enough to see.
Yeah. Okay.
And so I know she comes up and we'll check things out. But I have some little scorpion fish. I have electric rays in here, and I have moray eels. So let me see if I can show you where those are.
Yeah, please.
I'm hoping they haven't shipped out the scorpion fish. It was here yesterday.
Oh.
Look at the eyeshadow. I love all those little blue lines. And he will spit at you sometimes. It's my understanding that triggerfish sometimes feed on sea urchins, and they spit at the bottom of the sea urchin to turn it over, so they can feed on the. They can get through the less spiny side of the urchin.
What do y'all feed them here?
We feed them fish usually, and we do sometimes put an urchin in here. I've never known them to really feed on the urchins in here. I've seen queen triggers do that in the Keys, but this is a different species. This is a gray trigger, and whether he really likes the urchin or not, I don't know.
Holy moly.
And they do bite. Fishermen warn you about these guys, because this is a popular recreational fish, because they have a nice meaty, although thin, fillet, and apparently they're delicious. I've never eaten them. Yeah, there's a couple of little teeth in the front, and fish have teeth, on the roof of their mouth, on their tongue, not just the jaw. They are fully armed with teeth.
They're deceptive. I can tell you. I used to do some fish surveys with Fish and Game when they were restocking.
Okay, yeah.
Out in there when they were restocking the lakes. Deceptively spiny and bitey. You'd think it's just a small fish. It's got its own set of defenses.
Yeah, defenses. Yep. What were you stocking?
What were they stocking? Bass and something else.
Okay.
It was just the recreational lakes, and so I was mostly there doing the surveys to see what we had and so what they needed to restock.
Yeah. I hear you. Creel surveys, so to speak.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to give you a choice. We can go back to the touch tank room or move on this way and come back to the touch tank room later.
Your preference.
Yeah, let's go back. Because we have lots of things to see in here. A little red-footed sea cucumber.
Oh my goodness. Crazy.
And I scared this little blenny. I don't see him now, but I saw him swim.
Yeah, no, he's right there still. Right here, under the sea whip.
So tell me about this sea cucumber. First of all, why do they look so ridiculous?
Well, I don't know why they look so ridiculous, because they come, they're great big ones. There are some deep sea ones that have like a big hood on them, etc. Basically, they're like sea stars, but you'd have to kind of put him on his end here and squish him a little bit to kind of get the idea. This tank is just chock full of all kinds of stuff. We have some little pipefish, which are related to the seahorses. They have the same little
snout. There's one floating up there. There's one right against the back wall.
I love the decorator crab. They're so funny.
Aren't these weird and bizarre? And there are three or four over here.
Who's eating
as
this
well.
fish head over here?
It looks still like a decorator crab.
There are about 6 referred to as decorator. And oh, there's our little seahorse right over here. And see all that pink stuff in the back of him? That's what we collected down at the dock. That's the Hydroid.
Hydroid.
That's put in there for food.
So the seahorse eats the hydroid.
He does eat the little hydras, and he eats some little crustaceans that might be in there, amphipods, skeleton shrimp.
Okay.
And then we also feed him frozen brine shrimp. He'll get fed every day some frozen brine shrimp.
And then we have a little friend in the back here. Let's see if I can't get a better picture. Oh, he's hiding.
My son just darted.
Yeah, he's a little camera shy. That's all right.
I'm going to talk about the one in the back too.
She's talking about the one in the shell.
So what can you tell me about the decorator crabs? They are the ones who camouflage themselves by sticking parts of the environment onto themselves.
Yeah, they actually have little hairs on the surface of the carapace that are hooked. And so they will take parts of their surrounding environment, and usually they kind of chew it a little bit first using all their mouth parts, and then they will stick it on those little hooked hairs. And if they're lucky, it will stay in place and will begin to grow. They can totally switch their decoration. I took one that had a great purple and orange sponge one day out of the touch tanks and went, oh, I want to put that over here where people will see it. And I came in the next morning, he had taken off all the orange and purple and put on Hydroid so that
my goodness,
he blended in more than stood out. So they will swap to whatever they think is most appropriate.
There was an experiment, this was years ago, where they put just human trash, candy wrappers and stuff in the tank, and these little guys, probably a different species, but they ended up decorating themselves just with human,
I'm sure they do with
human
wrappers
trash and everything else. Yep.
We had our little urchins in little Santa hats at Christmas.
Oh my gosh.
They were perfectly happy to put on a little plastic Santa hat. You were asking me about the ghost crabs?
Yes.
Last night, and I told you if we'd been through the marsh, we'd run into all of these little fiddler crabs.
Moly.
And I have to tell you, this is one of the favorite exhibits. If you are a small child, you love the thought of picking up a whole bunch of crabs.
Oh my gosh.
But see how similar in shape they are to the little ghost crabs?
Yes.
And they have burrows.
Okay. Do they also have chromatophores? Are they able to change their color depending on the color of sand?
I think they're able to, not much, but a little bit.
Okay.
These are the ones, this is a male. The males have this great big pronounced claw that they use to show off to the females who have the two little claws. And basically they're saying, I'm such a wonderful gene pool that I can feed myself with one claw, because that big claw is useless other than, it's just decorative. It's
Remind me the species of this.
Well, we have 5 that we could have, but I think most of these are Uca pugnax, which is what we find most often in the salt marsh.
Okay. Can I pick one up?
Oh yeah,
I'm gonna do it. I'm
absolutely.
so excited.
Yeah, I like the two-handed
The two-handed
corral
approach.
method.
Okay.
But yeah.
They're so little and adorable. I have 2 ladies with me. Oh, and she's trying to pinch me. Pinchy, pinchy.
She will kind of pick at your skin a little bit if there's any, you know,
She's
if you
trying
needed
to
a
see.
manicure or
She's trying to
your
see if I have any
cuticles.
snacks. This is amazing. I got 2 more ladies. It's something about me and the ladies. So how big do these guys get?
They don't get very big. About 1.25 inches across the carapace is
Okay.
about max size.
And then
For
the little dots we're seeing is from them. They're feeding. Is that
Right, exactly. That's the Australians call these sand bubblers because as they're sorting through the sand, it works up through those gill bailers and stuff, and it gets all wrapped up into a little sphere. And so they make these little balls that are on the outside of their burrow.
If they're the bigger balls, does that mean there's a bigger crab making them, or is it does? Okay.
Yep.
Because some of these are huge, like
They are.
they're the size of some of the crabs in here.
Yep. Yep. So they're sorting essentially for detritus.
Okay.
When I talk to kids, I tell them about detritus pizzas. I said, I know it doesn't sound very exciting eating a dead piece of grass, but if you think of that dead piece of grass as like a little pizza crust, and then it gets this nice bacterial cheese on top, and some little mushrooms and some little diatom green peppers, it becomes a much more delicious and much more nutritious bit of food than just the dry, dead blade of grass.
I mean, I'm in for it. Can I scoop one of you guys up? Oh, I gotta jumble in. You want to stick with me? No. Ooh, I'm method. You were right. I don't know what I was thinking.
Yeah, you might want to go over there where you have a bigger concentration.
Oh, they see me coming. They know this game. Nope. They're like not having it.
No.
Let's just see if I can. Blint, how is the bit rate? Can I grab a male and a female for you?
The bit rate looks good.
Okay. I just I'm gonna come over to you and we've talked a lot about the males. I mean, I think you can see some of it here. All right, good. We got a lady and a male. We have a male here and a lady over on my thumb. You can see how big that claw is. And otherwise, is there any way to tell the difference from the males from female? Are there any other?
You know, I imagine there's a difference in the abdomen, but I've not really checked them out. But I imagine similar to blue crabs and spider crabs, the males have a narrower abdominal flap.
And then what is the common name for this species? Can you remind me?
Fiddler crabs.
Just fiddler crabs.
People don't differentiate the species much when they're out catching these for flounder bait or.
So really, they use them as bait, even though they're so small.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
This is incredible. We got a male sneaking around over here.
some of their claws just look absurdly big.
I know.
The rest of their body.
They're just
They
dragging
are
them
absurdly
around.
big. They're just going, look at me, honey. Is that not gorgeous?
I know some crabs, we saw on the ghost crabs some of the male big arms that they use for display are reactive either to UV or polarized light or something as like an extra signaling display. Do any of these crabs have that?
Not that I know of.
Gosh, I keep getting spam calls. I don't know how they got my number. But
I hear you.
let's do a photo.
You can
These
sign
are-
up with that little service at least 3 times a year and still end up.
It would be really cool to see, like you were saying, if the underside also has those differences in shape, like the ones you pointed out earlier.
I mean, I can see if I can take, whoop. I scared everybody down into the hole.
It was really obvious after you pointed it out with the other crabs, but it's like, it's really cool to have your trained eye on it.
Like, I would assume this was, looking at the abdomen, I would think female, but obviously I'm wrong because it has a big claw. He is definitely not willing to turn over easily. See, sometimes I use this little trick where I hold him by the claw. See, this is the abdomen on a male.
Yeah.
Okay, let me see if I can find a female. I'm sure she will be. They are so good at hitting those little holes.
Sorry, young lady.
It's so funny when you went around to the other side, there were so many.
I know, and they're like, I'm out of here. I don't need this from you.
I can't even keep a hold of them. Okay, this one is definitely broader, but it's not as big a difference as I would have liked
Yeah, definitely different
from the male, yeah. Okay, sweetheart, I'll let you go. Okie doke, guys, let's go take a look at the sea turtle.
Yes. These are, I've never seen this many crabs before. They are so cute. And they're little pinchies. I mean, I know they weren't actually pinching, but they're.
I know they do tickle.
Yeah. I expect more. They look so. Maybe it's just because it's the exoskeleton, but to me, they look very impressive. I'd expect them to have a little bit more of a pinch.
Okay, there is Little Herc right here.
Oh my gosh.
Little Herc is our resident sea turtle. We have a sea turtle hospital, so we do rescue and rehab and release sea turtles. We don't have any rescues right now. So Little Herc is our only sea turtle on property.
What species?
She is a loggerhead.
Loggerhead, okay.
Yep.
And so the most common sea turtle off the coast of Florida, although we get lots of greens in this area as well, because we have big, extensive seagrass beds here in the Big Bend area of Florida. So we have quite a few greens, but her head, that's a green sea turtle of that size, the head would be probably 4 inches across. Hers is probably 6 to 8 inches across. Now, she's been in captivity since 1998, and she was found like between St. Augustine and Jacksonville, awash in the surf, very weak, unable to swim or really control her movements. She was about 19 inches long at that time, and she weighed 40 pounds, which is pretty skinny for a sea turtle of that size. So they took her to Seaquarium in St. Augustine initially. They did the initial intake, got her eating, got her stabilized, etc. But they suspected that she was blind, and she is blind. And they think that she's probably a boat impact
Caused that.
Yeah. And so she's non-releasable, which is why we get to keep her here at all, because any sea turtle of maturity, they are trying to get back into the population. So
how does she do in captivity? I mean, she looks healthy, but how do you have to do anything special to help her locate her food?
Well, she was taught initially to feed using signals on her head, and although we've altered that somewhat, she feeds. You do have to kind of let her know, okay, it's feeding time. You have to get that little fish right down there close to her and pat her head and let her know it's feeding time. And then there's another signal that says, okay, that's all you get.
That's all you get. Okay.
So she was at SeaWorld for almost 16 years. And they're the ones that trained her to feed initially. And but they couldn't display her because they do all diver fed feeding of sea turtles, and she couldn't have done that.
Yeah.
So she might have injured the diver or gotten injured herself. So we got her in January, I want to say 8 years ago, and when we got her, they told us she's really leery of sounds. You need to be very quiet around her. She's skittish, etc. So I can remember bringing tour groups in here, babbly little children, and we would make them stand back and be absolutely quiet. That went on for about 2 weeks, and then she was fine.
Doesn't seem to bother her. Yeah.
And she'd never had tank mates. She'd always been in a little tank all by herself. And so this is her biggest tank. Actually, that one, she's in there sometimes. It's a little bit bigger than this one. And
she has an eel in with her?
Yep, she's got 2 green morays, and they usually hide out in these PVC pipes. Sometimes you can see their little head poking out. We'll go around there in a minute where you can get a better shot. And she kind of works her way around the edge usually. She doesn't like to be kind of loose in the middle of the tank unless she's asleep. And she's a good sleeper. I've pushed her all around this tank when she was asleep.
My gosh.
I was scared to death. I thought, oh, she's dead. She's not even moving.
She was just getting a good rest.
Yeah, she was just getting. But anyway, the hardest part about taking care of a little herc is when we have to weigh and measure her.
Yeah, so how do you do that?
Well, she has a big little kind of sling that she gets in, and then 4 or 5 people get in here and heft her out. I got bit by a little bitty loggerhead one time. I wanted to just throw it across the room. It's like, oh! So, but yeah, it's been really fun, and we try and keep her. They'll probably scrub her next week again, get all the algae off her shell. And
is that something that she would do for herself in the wild?
No,
find a way to clean
but
herself?
she would be deeper in the wild,
Okay.
probably, and she wouldn't get all that algae.
Yeah.
So here we put up these little shade sails.
Yeah.
But it doesn't seem to work.
Okay.
We're trying. We have a big fundraiser coming up next Saturday, where we're trying to get money to replace this with a pole barn.
Okay.
Which will keep it a little bit darker in here, so we don't have so much problem with algal growth, because these tanks are, I mean, you have to use a pool vacuum and get in and scrub them with a brush, and it's a lot of work to try and keep these looking decent at all.
Yeah.
But also our little Quonset hut is just rusting all along the bottom.
Yeah.
It's going to have to be replaced. So.
Oh my gosh, that moray eel is just hanging with her.
I know.
How are we doing?
How much does the turtle weigh?
And there's the other one,
Yeah.
the tail.
So how much does she weigh?
Right now she weighs about 155 pounds. She's down from 167.
Okay.
The vet has had her on a diet.
Oh.
So no more squid for a while,
No more
and
squid.
strictly fish and shrimp. And let's see this little tank. This is to demonstrate. We're building a big new building back here where we're going to be growing algae.
Okay.
And we're going to take all of our effluent water and pass it through the tanks in the algae building, and the algae will pull out nitrogen and phosphates, and so that the water that we return to Dickerson Bay should be in better shape than when we got it, as far as nutrient load. So, but yeah, we have a grant from Florida DEP to do that. But this is our horseshoe crab tank, and this has always been an important exhibit because Jack's wife Anne did her doctoral work on the ecology of horseshoe crabs in this area, and she and Jack have traveled to several areas in the world where there are horseshoe crabs to give them a study. And so, plus we like to demonstrate that these are harmless. They're not going to hurt you. This one is a little boy.
How can you tell?
I'm trying to get him to show off, but if you look at this first pair of walking legs, he's got what looks like a little boxing glove. It's got a big round muscle and a hook.
Okay.
And let me see. Let's just grab a hold. There we go. Can you see it right there?
Yeah. Wow.
Okay, and that's what he slips over the back of the female, and then she drags him around behind him. Now, this is perfect horseshoe crab mating time, end of May, 1st of June. And so they wait till the spring tide, and then they come ashore and they lay the eggs up in the splash zone. So it'll be another 6 to 8 weeks then before they get wetted enough, and that wetting will trigger the hatch, essentially, okay? But very ancient organisms, been around pretty much in this same shape for like 450 million years. And the females have claws on all the legs. The males have this modified leg, but the females have a little claw even on that leg.
So why is that?
Well, because it is the male that's going to hook over the back of the female.
So it's just the trade-off he does, and she uses it for food and everyday life.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yep. And so they, I often tell people to hold them like a cereal bowl because they're pretty stable when you do that. And the tail is just to turn them back over. So when you turn them over, oftentimes
they're going to push that tail like they were pushing it in the sand, and then that allows them to turn back over again. And they're looking at you with these eyes. These eyes detect an image, so they can see you as well as we can see them.
What is their eye structure?
Well, it's very much like you would find on any insect. It's a compound eye, so it's a bunch of little eyes with lenses all kind of rubber banded together.
Are they actually like ommatidia? Okay.
Yep. And they have 9 other pairs of eyes. Supposedly, I can't find them all, but there is one right here. It looks like a nose, but it's not. That's just an eye cup, essentially. So it detects light and dark, but it doesn't see anything else. And the others supposedly are all in here. Okay. On the bottom side.
On the bottom.
I have no idea why. I haven't run into any good theories. But yep, it's bizarre. And I had an intern here who used to talk. These are in a group that includes the arachnids, so spiders and scorpions. And he used to talk about the fact that, you know, spiders have lots of eyes, horseshoe crabs have lots of eyes, but what I like to point out is, if you look right here, this is the mouth.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, right here in the midst of all those legs, and it has these tiny little claws that are not part of the walking legs at all. And I tell kids these are the knife and fork legs, because that's what they use to cut up food and put it into their mouth. But this is also the pair of legs that in a scorpion would make those great big claws. It's right in front of the mouth. And in a spider, if you drop that inside finger, it forms the fang. Okay? So the appendages have a lot to do with taxonomy and how the appendages are.
Crazy.
So that's part of what.
Can I touch one of these?
Oh, sure, absolutely. This is a touch tank, so please feel free.
This is crazy.
I tell you, I just like to get them at the front.
I'm not sure he
and
cares
pick them
for
up
me.
And turn them over and hold them like a cereal bowl.
Chat, I don't think he cares for me.
Do you want me to put it down, or you want me to just hand it to you?
I think this is the same one we had before, but you can see the little boxing glove front claw.
Neat.
Instead of having
See, isn't he neat? Now when you run into one on the beach, you'll know.
Front ones.
Yeah, and you'll know that it's not going to hurt you. Well, they have the world's wimpiest claws. See, I'm going to put my finger right in one, and see, I'm not screaming.
You want to trade?
No, nothing's happening much. So yeah, even the really big ones, the claws are just not very strong. It's not like a blue crab where you have that nice big muscle.
Yeah.
That nails you.
Pretty cool, huh? All right.
There we go, chat.
You can put it in either way. If you put it down this way, he'll swim a little bit probably, and then he'll turn over. Okay. Yeah. See.
I don't know
See,
if you guys
he's gonna
hear that
push that
clapping
down. There you go.
Wow. Aw, they're so cute. Thank you.
Have you been to the touch tanks? There's some, you know those little tray tanks? There's some little bitty ones in there if you dig down in the sand.
Oh, we should go look for those little ones.
Yeah, little teeny horseshoe crabs.
Oh, one's going for a huge one. So their back legs seem to be quite different.
Yeah, the back legs are used for digging.
Digging, okay.
Okay, and that's their major defense. Hey, you might want to turn them around the other way so that tail is not right in your.
Sorry, chat.
There, whoop.
Keep doing that.
There you go. Because I get worried about the tail when I'm holding them the other way.
Is the tail a actual stinger? Like, is that a point of defense at all?
No, it's not. other than the fact that it might stick some predator in the mouth.
Yeah,
It's not, they don't wield it like a defensive, it's not like the triggerfish or the filefish that
can
push it up and go, okay, bite me now.
And then what kind of fish species do we have in here?
We have some remoras or shark suckers. Those are the ones that look like they got stepped on by a tennis shoe.
Yeah, that's totally different.
And then we have some spade fish that look like little freshwater angel fish.
I think they're farther down.
Those are usually schooling around some pipe. They like a little bit of cover somewhere. Like if you were on a nice big long pier, they'd always be out there at the end.
So do we know why these guys have that unusual patterning on the top of their head?
Yes, that's what adheres them to the bottom of the shark or the bottom of the turtle.
Really?
That's actually, they're actually fin rays and they're serrate. And so they push up against you and then they move that fin ray so that it moves the little serrations. And on a shark, that intermeshes then with the scaling. Okay, so it's kind of like Velcro, but then they've also got like flabby skin all the way around that makes like a little suction.
That's amazing.
So that's how they adhere to the bottom of sea turtles and manta rays and sharks. Okay. Hey there. I think we're going to go down here past that rock initial and seine in there. What do you think?
It's kind of high.
It is still high, but I don't think we have any choice.
Okay.
We're going to just brave it.
Yeah. I'll be happy to go in the water with you, Lexi.
Okay. I don't do waders.
Sorry.
Do you usually
I'm going to
try to hit for low tide?
Over here. It makes it a little easier just to get out there, but it doesn't necessarily make a difference in what we catch.
Can I give you a hand with anything?
I'm just trying to make sure this is not the third phone I've taken seining. I have a bad habit of leaving that phone in my pocket. I have ruined a couple. No, go past that little rock there. We'll hit this on the way back. Okay.
Oh, we have more little crabs. These are the same guys we were seeing.
Yeah, exactly.
Probably the same species even, do you think?
Do we have a bucket?
We do. We have a tray.
Okay. You're good at getting water in the tray? I said you're good at... I always dump half of it out. Okay, stop right in here, Lexi. I promised you I'd show you that other little periwinkle.
Yes.
These are zigzag periwinkles.
Zigzag periwinkle. Wow.
So
they all... Oh, and they're
just
coming out.
Put them back next to that rock because they like rocky stuff.
They're starting to come out. I don't know if you can see what a cool pattern they have. I got one. I'm thinking about coming out.
You want? Okay.
Two thinking about it.
I'm good with that.
We got some wiggles, chat.
Here, I'm gonna take this seine from you.
Oh, yep. So I have a question about these. They're found on rocks as opposed to the other ones that are found on grasses. Is that just a preference, but they still eat the same kind of food source?
I think they're probably both eating algae.
Yeah, okay.
They have a similar radula that scrapes algae off of stuff. So I'm thinking that similar, but not exactly the same.
You can see its little foot. All right, I'll put these guys back. Maybe.
How much do you want to leave out?
One of them already gave me a good mucus trail on my hand. That was cute.
Wading shoes. Whatever. Okay, I'm going to plant right here.
So this is similar to what we
around.
used to do in Arizona in the freshwater. The nets were smaller, but when we were doing native fish surveys, it was also a little bit shallower. But it's the same. It's the same concept, and it's always a two-person job. It looks a lot easier than it is. Even in the shop, they're dealing with deeper water.
Pull this all the way into the shore. And I tell kids always, butt first, and keep this pole against the bottom as much as you possibly can. Don't fall.
And don't fall. That's the pro tip. You guys heard it here first.
Okay, Peyton. Peyton, I want you to grab that bottom line and pull it straight in from the middle. Not the top, the bottom line. There you go. Okay, just keep it coming straight. Okay, perfect. All right, let's open her up and
all right, guys, I've taken
see
over.
what we got.
Oh, we got some fish, you guys.
Yeah. Oh. Here's my little puffer.
We got a puffer.
And a little Gulf kingfish. Yeah, we should have put water in there first.
We have some jellies, it looks like.
Comb jellies, probably. Jellies. Little silver side. Whoop. That's okay. I just want to get people in the water.
They're very, very
Look at that little guy. They're so teeny.
Oh my goodness, you guys.
Salt marsh. It's a nursery. I thought that was something, but
we are doing some marine researching. We're doing a little survey. We're right outside the salt marshes. They were just telling us how it's really just a nursery for a lot of these species. Oh my gosh, you guys, we have some real cute ones in here.
We'll just
we
throw
have
that little comb jelly in,
which we've seen earlier in the day. We have a hermit crab, some puffers. We got some real interesting stuff. Is this brackish water? Yes.
Yes.
You got a double yes. You heard it from the pro also over there.
Okay. Besides the cute little puffers and the sea robins, we have several what are called silver sides. And they do have a big, like 1/4-inch silver stripe down the side of them. It's a little dwarf hermit crab. They're so fast. And we've also got a little member of the drum family, this one right here, okay, which is
called a Gulf kingfish, or fishermen around here call it a ground mullet. It has probably 4 or 5 different common names. But the little puffers and the little sea robins are so cute.
So how big do these puffers get?
Well, these are smooth puffers, and we have 2 species. We have least puffers that get about this long, and we have the southern puffers that get probably a foot, sometimes over a foot long. Yeah, it's hard to tell until they get a little bit bigger, but yeah, these could be little southerns.
So how old would you say these guys are now?
I don't know. I'd say probably less than 2 months. Anyway.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
At what size do they start leaving the little nursery area and venturing out?
Well, I don't usually catch them back here much over 3 inches.
Okay.
Have you ever caught them bigger than that back here? Not usually. So they must be leaving right around 2.5 to 3 inches.
We have the comb jellies just swimming around, not bothering anybody. Will any of these species, when they get older, feed on the comb jellies, or are they all just...
Not that I know of. The little silver sides are top minnows. Their mouth is right at the top of their head, and they feed on stuff right at the surface.
Okay.
The sea robins feed on the bottom. They've got taste buds all over those little fin rays that are kind of walking around.
That's cool.
Okay, all right. Anybody else want to sing? Emily, did you want to sing? I don't know.
Felicity, are you just surveying the population? Or are you looking for something? They are training some interns today. We're just looking at the little nursery species, what we have, and we're all getting a vibe for the different techniques that they use here. And we have some very helpful, talented interns that are going to be joining this group for the summer as well. So they're doing all the hard work. I'm just sitting here looking at all the cool fish. I am not being helpful, is what I'm doing today. This is amazing.
Oh,
So we're doing this at high tide. Would we see any kind of difference in population or species if it was low tide?
I don't think you'd see much difference.
Okay.
It's a little bit easier at low tide. You can get out further.
Okay. Alright guys, I'm hoping you're seeing stuff. It is a little bit tricky for me in the sunlight to make sure that we're focused on things. There are some really cool comb jellies in here. I know that we've caught a lot of them, but I can't get over how cool they are. I will never get over how cool they are. Look at that right there. And for those of you who are just tuning in, they were telling us that these guys actually don't have any kind of stingers, which is why we were able to.
Miss Emily, do you want me to take the deep side while you're getting used to your waders? Okay.
So we're gonna watch them. They're gonna do another.
Okay, I want you to go straight out in front of me, and I will follow you till I decide to stop.
Yeah, there was a hermit crab in there too. A tiny but adorable hermit crab.
I think that's fine. I'm going to plant. You're going to come around.
When you get even with me, we'll both start walking towards the beach.
Yeah, those pufferfish are amazing and they're tiny, chat. I don't know if you guys got to see them. Maybe, yeah, when they were puffed up especially, that was incredible. I might have to take my camera, or maybe Belinda can use this camera and just snap a few pictures in case people aren't able to see as well. Just so we'll post these on Discord too if you guys want to see any close-up pictures. Okay, got the web line. Right, and then they grab the bottom line, drag it in.
Are these are like little spot.
You guys, did you see that little puffed up pufferfish? Did you guys see that little puffed up pufferfish?
I'm gonna.
Oh, we have another one.
Gonna toss these.
Oh, he unpuffed himself, but there was another little puffer.
Whoop. I'm not.
There we go. Do you guys see him all puffed up right there? Ridiculous. And then he just slips and floats away.
Oh, little crab. I got somebody stuck down here, I thought, yeah. Okay, I'm gonna put all these spot back. They're spot. They're a little drum. Okay. That is one of those little kingfish. Gulf. Whoa! He is very tiny.
Tiny puffer, you guys.
Okay, somebody with a watch, tell me what time it is.
I have a phone.
1:07. Okay, you guys want to stop here or do one more thing?
Let's do one more thing if you guys have the time.
Okay.
Okay, can you just, there is this fish that looks like it has wings in there.
Yeah, those are the sea robins.
Sea robins, okay.
Yep.
Somebody in chat had said that, and I just wanted to make sure I was looking at the right thing.
Yep.
What's this one, Miss Leslie?
That's the Gulf kingfish, whatever they want to call it. Ground mullet's what Holden calls it. And it's also a drum. Look at that tiny little lizard fish. He is just precious. What is this guy?
Is that a pipe fish? Which one?
Yeah, there is a pipe
There's
fish
a
in
pipe
there.
fish in here. Okay. Oh,
Okay.
yeah, there we have it.
Do you guys see this little fish? I believe that's a menhaden. Do you guys? Yeah. Do you guys know about menhaden? Menhaden are a big fishery in the South Atlantic and Gulf. It's the 4th largest fishery. They use them for fish meal and oil. They use the oil a lot in makeups. And it's very closely related to herring and some of those shad, those very primitive. Yeah, they use the fish meal to make fish emulsion and stuff out of them. They're a real oily fish. They fish for them. They use a spotter plane
that looks for oil slicks. Okay, and because that's often indicative of a school of menhaden, and then they harvest them with a purse seine. But that little spot on the back, right, you know, where you would normally look for it in pinfish,
Yeah.
it's right there, real silvery sides, etc., real forked tail. Let me look at the fin. I could have, no, it's not a thread fin. So basically they're very much like thread fins. They're oily little fish. We should probably dump these so they live before we do that last thing. And let's do it over on the other side. Keep everybody living.
What's the one that looks like it has wings? I think that was the sea robin. Yeah.
Yep. Okay. Okay, Emily, are you on this one as well? We're going to do right on the other side of that rock between there and the boat ramp. Let's turn this over. Let's get everything out.
Just shaking it out, chat.
Okay. Now put it float side up. There we go. Grab a hold of that and walk it with us. Don't get snagged on that stump. Okay, Miss Emily. Come out. Yeah, that's why we didn't go down quite so far. Come out, come over here and go straight out in front of me.
Oh, you guys, we got one of these little crabs.
Okay, there's far enough. Yeah.
I'm not, if you guys can see this, but we have another
You're gonna
little
make a
crab.
big C. There you go.
All right, so they're pulling in one more net. I know, it's beautiful.
Okay, Emily, go butt first in. It's a little bit easier to control the net. Okay, Miss Peyton, I'm going to have you get that red line again. Okay, there you go. Just pull it right on up. Okay. No falling. Oh, and there's another little spot. Oh. Now this is a little anchovy.
Hi, fish.
I'm going to try and show the difference between this and the top minnow. His mouth should open way open, but he's not cooperating.
Not being a cooperative anchovy.
It's not being cooperative, and he might be a little bitty silver side. But there's another little menhaden-y thing. Pogies is what most people call that. If you ever people talk about pogie plants in the South. This is the fish they're processing. Pogie, P-O-G-Y, that's mint.
So of the fish you've been catching, which one gets the largest?
Probably the southern puffer. And the spot will get about 9 to 10 inches long. But the little southern puffer will get a good foot or so.
What species do you get most excited to catch when you're out here?
I don't care.
You're happy to see anything?
Yeah. And the
baby stingrays.
I particularly like when we get really juvenile stuff. Sometimes juveniles are really hard to identify sometimes, but it's really fun to just see the little bitty critters.
They're amazing.
It's going, I need more water.
I know. They don't seem thrilled.
I know. On the deep side, I've seen you. I smell a way out.
They're ready to go. They're like, I don't want this.
Okay, I'm going to have you two girls just turn this over so the rocks fall out and roll it back up. Yeah, okay.
So when you let the fish go, is there any technique you need to do, or you just make sure they get in the water?
I make sure I do it gently. I don't just throw it out there. But as long as they get in there, they're usually pretty hard.
I know, hardy little guys. They got to tolerate a lot of crazy
Okay, you
battering
wanna pick up
from
the
the
pole?
water and everything.
Nope. Like this. Okay, now you can roll. There you go.
All right, you guys, they're just rolling up the equipment.
Yeah, Lexi has another tour at 2 o'clock. She's got to eat some lunch yet.
I know, you guys, we've taken a little bit more than our allotted time, to say the least. This is what happens. We all have so many questions. Every time people are like, it's about a half an hour.
I'm just gonna
Do you remember when we went to the aquarium and we had all those questions about their water processing? And we fell behind because they're like, everyone just wants to go see Myrtle the turtle. Nobody ever wants to ask us about our water filtration system. And it's like, but this is so interesting. I know, a bunch of nerds chat. Do we want to be by the crab or by the hammerhead?
Do you want to do one more final walkthrough?
Sure. Sure.
Where should we do the walkthrough?
I'm going to just... They say visitors, please enter through gift shop, but I'm going to just sneak through.
Okay.
We went through here before. I think it's fine. But I know reception is spotty, so whatever. I'm going to just follow you since you know where we're going.
I just wanted to take one more look through at some of these sculptures that we haven't had the chance to look at. Like, it's just kind of a neat, you know, a little extra something. The great white.
Which might end up just being called the white shark. I think I've mentioned this, chat. I don't know how I feel about it. I don't know how you guys feel about it.
Got a hammerhead shark. I got excited, y'all. I saw a manatee. Oh, it even has whiskers.
Oh my goodness. Well, it's not. Is it a proper sea potato if it doesn't have whiskers? That's my question.
But it's still super cutie patootie.
Okay, you guys, I like this. Why Jake won? Jake the American crocodile versus Blinky the American alligator. 17 feet for the American crocodile, 1,000 pounds, up to 110 teeth. Bite force.
Ooh.
3,700 psi, swimming speed up to 18 miles an hour, running speed up to 9 miles an hour. Listen, I know everyone says you can like outrun an alligator or crocodile. You probably can. But you're going to be hoofing it. Don't do that zigzag business. Just try to speed run them out.
So here we have Jake and Blinky, I think, right? Are they facing off?
These all look like alligators.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize if there was like something different in the, because the coloring on this one looks a little different.
I could be wrong. It still looks like it has the same jaw shape to me. Skull shape.
There's the leatherback sea turtle. That was so cool that we got to see a sea turtle today too.
I hope reception was good enough that you guys were able to see that. There was a loggerhead sea turtle chilling out with a green moray eel.
You want to walk back and look at that one more time?
Sure.
Because that was probably one of my favorites.
Do we have reception back there?
We had reception. We just got overheated.
I got a couple little video clips, you guys, if we want to edit those up. Just a couple.
Yeah, thank y'all for bearing with us today. There were some obviously technical issues, but we appreciate y'all sticking through and through with us.
Did we have any reception for the ray feeding at all?
Yeah, I think we got some clips.
Okay. Because there was that crazy
jumping out.
Yeah, that was extraordinary.
I like this.
We're back to the crabs, you guys.
This place was super cool.
I thought when I was looking in here, I'm like, they're so crowded. I mean, they know what they're doing, but I was like, gosh, they're so crowded.
Can I touch them?
Yeah. And then we saw them out in the wild, you guys. And, oh, I'm sorry, guys. That was bad driving. Smarfe, you got clips. We saw the crazy ray jumping at the food. You have a male and a lady right there. The male is on Blint's fingers. You can see by the really big claw we have going here. That's a little male. Do you still have the lady on you, or she jumped off? Glued with gold Blint overcoming his fear of crabs.
Oh no, I think it'd be fun just laying here.
He didn't shriek this time when they...
Listen. Okay, that was different.
that was different, chat. Everyone's proud of you.
Last night was very scary. This, less scary. Friends.
They're just hanging out.
Oh, this guy.
There's one guy that's just hanging on.
There we go.
The dark is a terrifying place, especially when there are itty bitty crabs around. All right, we'll check out the turtle and then maybe we'll raid. Do we have any targets?
Yeah, I have to double check and make sure, but I hope y'all enjoyed the stream today. I know I had fun.
You guys, this was wild. Here we're back with the turtle. Obviously not a touch tank. The green moray eel's in there. Well, there are two of them, but one is still hanging. And so this is the structure that they're going to be raising money for, guys. So we'll post the link if anybody wants to drop some donos. All right. What are we thinking?
I just want to do a quick look on these two.
Yeah.
I'm just like, oh, these are just like all the big old crabs in here. Yeah, we got to see a lot of cool things. There's some more blue crab in here somewhere.
And we also have the, what is it? Calico crab. That's the one. The one that looks like leopard print. There's a couple right there, a little pile of them. To your right.
Yeah. There's some straight ahead too.
And I think she was
Wombat,
saying,
thank you for the 100 biddies.
thank you so freaking much.
They're very, very cool. All right, one more time at this tank.
Yep.
Walk through.
It was
Yeah.
amazing.
The puffer fish.
Yeah, some dwarf puffer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are really cool.
And then it was what, the sea robin?
Yeah, the
Yes.
sea robins. Those are cool.
Oh, we wanted to thank you for you helping us this morning too.
Yes.
Thank you for that. Yeah.
And if you have any socials, you can shout them out.
Oh,
Or-
I don't know. I don't post much, but I'll definitely give you guys a follow.
Okay.
We have a sticker for you too.
Oh my gosh,
The
thank you so much.
QR code on the back if you're interested.
Oh my gosh, cool. So when did you guys start streaming?
It'll be 3 years in July.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yep.
And you guys go to just anywhere and stream for your followers to educate about some science?
We do usually 7 days a week from the office, different things each day, but we've been doing 2.5 weeks of IRL content.
Yeah.
And so we always do like fossil. We've been doing fossil hunting.
Oh, that's super cool. Have you found any around here?
Not around here. We
Okay.
wanted to do Peace River, but
Yeah. You can
we
definitely
couldn't.
find some shark teeth around here.
Yeah.
Maybe like Alligator Point if you sift for them out in the
Okay.
sand. I know that people do. Sorry, and the ad on Instagram, is it SciAnts?
It's SciAnts Media,
Okay.
but there should be, if you go to our Twitch page, there's a link tree that has everything on it.
Okay, cool.
Thank you again.
awesome. It was really
Yeah,
nice to
no,
meet
You
you.
guys enjoy like the rest of your time here.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. You have to give out the stickers.
I know. Always give out the stickers.
These are so cool to be able to touch.
I know.
I know it says touch tank, but I'm like,
But is it really? Yeah.
no, this is joke. This is joke. Smike's ass is that's Southern hospitality. No one said bless your heart, Smike. So, all right,
Does it seem like a good place to?
let's go. Let's rate out at the chair at the statue, or maybe here even. This is a good chair.
Let's do it.
All right, if you wouldn't mind just doing a quick roundup while I check on our target.
Hi guys. We're here. We are in fact here, and not just disembodied voices, plural. Oh, you guys. All right. So it was a longer stream than we were expecting. Thank you guys all for hanging with us as long as you have. I know in the aquarium itself, we had some real technical difficulties, but hey, we bookended it with some cool stuff, which is honestly, I thought that was the best part. Out on the docks, we saw some amazing fish. I got to hold a jellyfish. Okay, we both did, but you know. I think we got to see a bunch of different cool collection techniques that they have. These are techniques, so they supply research institutions with samples, but these are techniques that other groups are going to be using themselves. If there are researchers going out trying to do surveys, animal surveys, population surveys, they're going to be using very similar techniques, if not identical techniques, possibly even employing the people who are interning here right now. So that was amazing. It was really generous of them to spend all this time to cart us all around.
Hot tip: don't hold a random jellyfish.
Don't hold a random jellyfish. We were under experienced eyes.
Although I kind of wanted to.
Just hold a random jellyfish.
Well, now I kind of want to. The cone jelly was super cool. Guys, we'll be back live tomorrow morning for a sunrise walk. That's going to be at 6 a.m. Eastern. And then we're flying back to Jersey, back home. So we'll be doing back to the regular 7 days a week from the house. Guys, thank y'all very much for hanging with us, and thank y'all for supporting the stream and letting us have an opportunity to do something like this. Shall we go ahead and raid, leader?
Yeah.
All right. We are going to raid.
I know, Samara Faye, it is going to be early. It is going to be early, but we're leaving, and we thought, you know what? Sunrise, there'll be some cool stuff. We'll have a little VOD of it, a trimmed down VOD if anybody wants to see some highlights of what we're going to check out right at dawn.
So again, we'll be back tomorrow. Make sure. Consider joining us if you would like. Oh, I can't see the raid countdown anymore. Hold on, chat. We're going to go over to our friends at I Paint Burr. Oh my goodness. This pinned message. Smikes, could you unpin that message? I'm so sorry. I can't actually see our raid. All right. No. There we go. Okay, I see it now. We're good.
We good?
We're good. I can see it now. All right. So grab y'all the raid call. Raid 1 and Raid 2 are there. And again, thank y'all so much for hanging with us. Thank y'all for getting us to 10,000 followers here on Twitch, and for hanging with us, for asking questions, being curious about science. Make sure to join up on the Discord for all, keep up to date with all things on the science front. Check out the socials and everything else, as always. Anything else, Leah?
I think that's it. Thank you guys so much for hanging with us.